and welcome to another Lead to Legacy membership interview. And I'm really excited that our guest has joined us on the call today, and I'll let them introduce themselves to you in a moment. But the reason we're doing this is because we really want to connect our business communities. So your chapter is a business community. It's a givers gain community where people go out of their way to help one another. And there are other people outside of our BNI rooms right now that are really suffering. They're scared and they don't know where to turn for business and for support. So we've put together the Lead to Legacy drive so that we can introduce people we care about to people we care about. And I thought a great way of doing this is interviewing some of our members, both long-term and new members, and just seeing what their experience has been during the last few months. So you probably know the agenda by now, but I have 5 questions that I ask. And the first one is to our guest on the call today. Please tell us your name, your company name, tell us what chapter you belong to, and how long you've been a member there.
Well, I'm Michael Cockerham, and my company name is really me. I'm Michael Cockerham Photography. I'm a photographer. I'm a member of Prince Imperial chapter with the original Chislehurst chapter, and I have been a member since it launched back in March of 2002. So it's coming up to 19 years now.
Wow. So did you join on the launch day, or were you part of like the building process of the group?
I was part of the launch day itself. So I think that the chapter was formally recognized as an actual chapter the following week, which would be my second meeting.
Wow, that's amazing. And how many other original members are still in that room?
Just one. There's Martin Ives, our chapter accountant, is also a member from that original launch event. Then shortly after that, we've got Paul Davis, who's our printer, who joined about 2 or 3 months later. So there's 3 of us more or less from the beginning. But there are quite a lot of members in our chapter who've been there for a long time. We've got a lot of members who've been there for well in excess of 10 years. So 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years. We do seem to encourage longevity in Prince Imperial. And I think it's because we're inclined as a group to stick 2 fingers up to conformity and do things our own way. And it's something that a lot of people find very attractive.
Yeah, you're certainly a vibrant Friday morning group. I come away with a smile and a feeling that, yeah, the weekend's definitely here every time I come to
I think that's just because you're happy you've got out unscathed, Greg, frankly. That'll be enough to put a smile on anyone's face.
Do I ever get out unscathed?
No, not at all.
I'm not sure that's the point, but I take it on the chin because it is a fantastic experience coming to you guys. And you alluded to it in your intro there. You're a photographer, and I'm going to wax lyrical about just what an amazing photographer you are a bit later. But obviously the events and the kind of arts industries have been absolutely decimated by COVID and by lockdown. So what has being in BNI, how has that supported you through COVID?
I think it's been fundamental, actually. Not entirely from a commercial perspective, but primarily, I think, from sort of an emotional and sort of support perspective, if that makes sense. My work started to dry up in the back end of February. I saw lots of things starting to be cancelled one after the other. And in fact, 2020 at that point was shaping up probably to be the best year I've ever had. I was really looking forward to probably making some big inroads into markets that I hadn't previously been a part of, and massively increasing my turnover and profitability. So I was very excited about 2020 when it started. And then by the time we got to the end of February, I saw one event after another starting to be axed from my diary. And by the time lockdown came on the 23rd of March, my diary was completely empty. Everything had been literally all completely gone. And in fact, in the period from the beginning of April to middle of June, so about 10 weeks then, which is the only period I've actually done an actual like-for-like analysis on, I was down by 91%, which is an enormous amount to lose.
Wow.
But, I could have been very despondent about it, but I actually felt like if things really hit the fan, that I knew exactly where I was going to turn, and that would be to my fellow members in Prince Imperial.
Brilliant. It is amazing. I've mentioned it on these videos before, but people initially find BNI for business. Of course they do. We're a referral organisation, but the reason people stay for so long is that other aspect, isn't it? It's that kind of the unquantifiable support that you get from, just the people around you. And it sounds like you've experienced some of that through the last few months.
Well, I certainly get stick in exactly the same way that you do, Greg, and anybody that's been a member of the chapter for any length of time will know that that's true. But I hope that it's good-natured, and I hope that, that people feel about me the way I do about them, because I can honestly say that there are people in that group that I would lay down in the middle of the road for if it would help them, or
Yeah.
throw myself under a bus, etc. They are genuinely decent, lovely, caring people who none of them take themselves seriously, but they all take what they do, their businesses, extremely seriously. And they're all very, very keen to see everybody else succeed. It's very unlike anything I would normally associate with being British. I mean, as a rule, we tend not to be very good at celebrating other people's success, but within Prince Imperial, we really genuinely do. And I think one of the things that really demonstrated to me just how important that was. We, unfortunately, circumstances with my family, we ended up having to isolate for a period of about two and a bit weeks.
Yeah.
And after 10 days, we were running out of food. And at that point, if you weren't already somebody that was used to having click and collect or online deliveries from supermarkets, you couldn't get them for love nor money.
No,
and my
not at all.
wife was getting quite worried about whether or not we were going to run out of food. And I said, I think this is going to be okay. Don't worry about it. And I put out a message on our chapter chat group saying, look, I know this is a big ask, but we're running out of food. Is there anybody that would be able to go and do some shopping for us if I gave you a list and, obviously gave you the money? And I was astonished by the response to that, because almost everyone in the chapter contacted me directly rather than through that sort of group chat.
Yeah.
All of them saying they'd happily do it, no problem whatsoever. Now, there's a part of me that wonders whether they were just so desperate to get out of their own houses that they'd do anything for anybody in order to do it. But I like to think actually it's because they were there to help each other, not just me, but anybody else within the chapter. And several people did it, and I cannot thank them enough. They did it with a smile on their face. They did the very best they can, and they did it really quickly because we were all there to support each other. And I know that everybody else has had similar stories of support in one way or another, maybe not in that practical way, but there's other things that other people have done for each other.
It's been absolutely outstanding, because I've got a real bugbear at the moment, which is I love acts of kindness. I think they really do make the world go round. And but what upsets me is when people have to film their acts of kindness so they get more social media views, and and what I found with BNI members recently is they go and do this stuff with no expectation of recognition or reward. It is pure giving in its just truest form, and they're just doing it to help people, and they're not looking for accolades, and they're not looking for recognition. They just want to make sure people are all right. And I think
but the thing is that's not something that's restricted just to the current awful situation that we're all going through, because I can think of numerous occasions where people have done within our group have done things exactly like that, not just this year, but I can go back 10 years and see people who are still in the chapter now who 10 years ago were doing things to help other people in the chapter without making a song and dance about it, because of exactly what you said. They just want to help people out. There's a very genuine desire to give within the chapter. It's compelling, it's uplifting, it reinforces everything about why you would want to be part of it. I mean, yes, I make money out of my membership in BNI, and that's why I joined. But I'll be honest with you, it's not the first thing on my mind when I think about renewing every year.
No, it's a brilliant message. And so this next question is probably going to be pretty tough considering what you've just said. If you had to pick one instance of, the light of human kindness, and what's the most heartwarming thing that you've seen since this COVID era began?
God, I don't know that I can pick one thing at all. I mean, there are so many instances of things that have gone on. I mean, just as an example, but it's not the lead example, it's simply an example. Some people who watch this may be aware that there was a really horrific motor accident in Kidbrooke a couple of months ago, where a runaway dust cart ended up crashing straight through a house and I know the driver of the dust cart was killed, and a lot of other people were very, very seriously injured. One of the people in that accident was one of our members. And he was, obviously clearly very shaken up, and his car was completely written off. But the impact of that on the chapter was that everybody just came together and they pitched in, and there was a huge fundraising drive to raise money for him to do whatever the hell he wanted with. So whether he wanted to go on holiday, which is pretty difficult given the current circumstances,
So
or
what's one of those?
exactly, whatever he wanted to do, it was for him to choose what he wanted to do. And I know that he's actually decided to use that money to help him buy a new car because his car was completely written off.
Huh.
None of us needed to do that, but it was an instinctive reaction. But it's just typical of the people that are members of Prince Imperial, and it's why we don't lose members in this group. It's pretty rare that people don't renew because everybody wants to be a part of something that's so much bigger than themselves.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And for the record, Michael, that's the closest I've ever seen you to being speechless. So
I think there's another time that was even more speechless than that, but that's another story.
But okay, so I really appreciate your time coming on today, and as well as being a support mechanism for both business and community, we are a referral generation organisation. So what can we do to help you as a business right now? How can members of BNI, the people who aren't in BNI watching this,
okay, well, as we said, I'm a photographer, so there's effectively two sides to my business. There's a commercial side and there's a social side. Now, the social side, from a pure turnover point of view, is driven primarily by weddings, and frankly, they've fallen off of a cliff. Almost every wedding I had this year got pushed back to next year. It's actually quite a small part of my business. Most of what I do is commercial industrial. But weddings are few and far between. However, there is no reason at all why I can't be doing portraits of people or portraits of families. I much prefer doing individuals to sort of large groups of people because you can be a lot more creative with an individual portrait. So there's, if you know people that actually think to themselves, you know what's really important are the people around us, the people we love. And if there's somebody that you know and love and you would love to have a portrait commissioned of them, then please get in touch, because I would dearly love to do that. That's something that I enjoy a great deal. Commercially, though, it's very different because most businesses are still needing to attract their customers, and anybody that is still in business, whether they're manufacturing or providing a service, they need to regularly update their websites, they need to put together advertorials, or they need to do social media marketing, or they need to do annual reports, anything like that. Any kind of business that is in business, I could do work for them, and I do a lot of work for a lot of companies around the UK and in other parts of the world too, and I do it very successfully, and there's no reason why I can't keep doing that just because there's a pandemic on. I can do things in a secure way.
Brilliant. That is fantastic. And I said I'd wax lyrical about your abilities, and there was, in the space of about 2 days, I put a social media post out describing you as side of a bus good, because you'd done some, was it Eltham College?
No, it was Newham College. That was old stuff, actually. It was just I was going through some pictures and I saw it. I just decided to do a little tweet thing about it.
So there's some wonderful photography on the side of a bus, and I like bragging on behalf of the quality of our members. And then 2 days later, there's a red book behind you that I can see, and it was announced that your portrait, which you were saying that the original shoot started as a referral in the room.
Yeah.
Tell us about that so people can get an idea of the quality.
Basically, it was one of those things. It was a portrait session where a member in the chapter had been asked to go and sort something out for somebody, and as a part of this endeavor that they were asked if they knew a photographer who could come and do some pictures of this little girl on her 7th birthday. And this was just following lockdown, but the restrictions were still in place, and as a result she was going to have her 7th birthday with basically her mum, dad and brother, and that was it. But they put some decorations up in the garden, and I was asked if I could come and do some socially distanced portraits of this girl, which was great fun, and I got some really lovely portraits, most of which are very smiley and happy. But there was one moment where, just for a couple of seconds, the girl Joanna suddenly became quite introspective and was very much within her own mental space. And I got a couple of frames of her then, and it just seemed to me to capture the zeitgeist. And I was very sort of happy with these portraits for myself rather than for them as a family. And when I was looking at them, I got in touch with the mother and said, look, would you mind if I stick this portrait into this competition? Because I think it might have something, but 14,000 people enter it, so I wasn't expecting it to go anywhere. And she said yes. Anyway, so 2 months later, I had to get back in touch with her and tell her that she was going to find that her daughter was on signs all over the country for a couple of months. So yeah, it was great. It won.
Well, congratulations. It's a beautiful picture. And if it's okay with you, I'll put an image of it in this interview so people can see.
Yeah, sure. No problem. No problem.
That's okay.
Thank you.
It is just amazing. So for my very last question, to bring this to a close, is there anything else that you'd like to add or to say to those watching?
God. Well, if you're in business and you're not a member of BNI, you probably should be thinking about whether or not it would be a good thing for you to do. If you're in business and you are a member of BNI, and there are a lot of people having a really, really hard time at the moment, the best advice I can give you is to talk to your chapter members and be honest and open with them. Tell them about the struggles that you're having, because there will be somebody there that's been through the same thing and will have some idea of how they can help you. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to find that people actually pull together and try to find something for you to help make things just a little bit easier as we try and get through this very dark period. That would be it.
That is fantastic advice. We've got so many examples of when that's people, they've got that emotional and relational capital in the bank, and they stand up and they say, look, I need help, I'm suffering right now. And people go above and beyond. You've given some great examples of it today, and I think that is a perfect way of ending this interview. So, Michael, congratulations on all your success. It's really well deserved, and thank you for sticking with us for 20 years.
Yeah, that's worrying. When I think about the time, it's too much.
But we really do appreciate you and everything you do. So, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, Greg. And can I just add into the end of this, because I know that nobody else is going to say anything, is that the reason that this region is as successful as it is entirely because of you and the way that you engage with every single one of the chapters. And I think you do yourself a disservice by not being more sort of open to the praise and plaudits that should be rained upon you, and to some extent already are, because you really are a driving force in this region, and every single member in this region owes an eternal debt of gratitude to you for the success that they are getting, because it's down to you.
Well, thank you very much. A greater man than myself, a gentleman called Terry Hamill, said, if someone pays you a beautiful compliment, just say thank you. So thank you. I really do appreciate that. And anyone watching that wants to come and meet Michael or any one of our members, please just drop us a comment, drop us a line. We're looking to introduce people we care about to people we care about right now, so that you can tap in to the type of business, but mainly the support that Michael was talking about during the interview. So we look forward to meeting you very soon. Thank you.